The night over Gearhaven was never truly quiet. Even when the city lights softened, the Energon Core still pulsed like a heartbeat under the skyline, keeping every street, rail, and tower alive. But tonight, a different pulse tore through the air. A shadow streaked across the rooftops, then another, and another. 3 dark vehicles moved like a single thought, weaving between neon spires with one mission: break the vault and take the keys. The Energon Vault was designed to survive storms, quakes, and even wars. Yet, Ironshade Legion didn't come to test it. They came to tear it open. A stealth car slammed into the outer lock. Sparks exploded across the door. The alarm towers flared red. The vault's shields flickered, and in a brutal burst of speed, Ironshade pushed through. Inside the vault, 3 glowing artifacts hovered in a halo of energy. The Energon Keys. 3 pieces of ancient technology that balanced the core itself. Without them, Gearhaven would not just lose power. It would lose life. The thieves didn't hesitate. 1 key was hooked into a crane carrier. 1 was sealed into a stealth pod. And 1 was strapped beneath a racing vehicle built for nothing but escape. In seconds, they were gone. The vault doors collapsed behind them, and the city felt the loss immediately. Streetlights dimmed, sky rails sputtered. The Energon Core, towering over the city center, flickered in pain. A crack formed down its side, like lightning frozen in crystal. Gearhaven's heartbeat was failing. Across the city, the Brightforge Alliance received the alert. Not a call, not a request, a warning. Aegis Prime was already moving before the sirens finished their first cycle. The massive leader truck burst out of headquarters with the force of a thunderclap. His headlights sliced through smoke, his treads threw sparks on the pavement. Above him, Voltwing ignited into the sky, a jet of blazing speed, cutting between towers as if the city was a training course. On the ground, Bulwark rolled out heavy and calm, a tank-dozer hybrid built to endure anything. He wasn't fast. But when danger came, speed wasn't what saved a team. Strength was. Then there was Pulseblade, smallest of the group, fastest of the group, a bike ninja scout who lived in the space between moments. Pulseblade didn't chase enemies. He appeared where enemies didn't expect him. Glacier Drift arrived last, smooth and steady, a medical rover who carried stabilizers and support gear. He wasn't there to fight. He was there to keep the mission alive, and trailing the team like a silent eye was Scout Drone Car, deploying tiny drones to map and scan, to read energy trails invisible to others. Aegis Prime didn't waste a word. Keys stolen, core cracking, we move. And the Alliance launched into the night. The chase across Neon City was pure chaos. Ironshade vehicles drifted through streets with impossible precision, sliding under bridges, leaping ramps, and using the city itself as a weapon. Aegis Prime closed the distance fast, tires screaming, engine roaring, his bulk swallowing lanes. Pulseblade shot forward, weaving through scattered cargo pods and fallen barriers. He didn't look left. He didn't look right. He looked through the chase. Voltwing shadowed the targets from above, locking onto the bright signatures of the keys. But Ironshade had planned for pursuit. They didn't just run. They fought while running. A crane vehicle twisted, mid-roll. Panels opened. Chains snapped into place. Iron Reaper rose into full robot form, swinging an enormous claw through the air. Aegis Prime transformed in one smooth, heavy motion, metal plates shifting, massive arms locking into place with a deep, commanding thump. Iron Reaper's claw collided with Aegis Prime's shielded stance. Sparks burst between them. The impact shook the rooftops. Pulseblade used the clash like a doorway. He vaulted over a barrier, transformed mid-jump, and landed behind Reaper, eyes locked on the first key pod strapped to the enemy's back. The pod was protected, but Pulseblade didn't need time. He needed one gap. He sliced the strap, grabbed the pod, and flipped away. Before Reaper even realized, the weight was gone. Iron Reaper tried to flee on foot, but Aegis Prime snapped a tether line across the lane. The crane robot stumbled, tangled, and fell. Key 1 rolled free, glowing bright even on the street. Pulseblade caught it mid-air, clean, fast, perfect. Aegis Prime secured the key into his storage slot with a firm click. Its glow steadied into a calm, stable pulse. "1 key safe," he said. "Keep moving." Because key 2 was already gone. A racer vehicle carrying the second key hit a ramp and rocketed onto the elevated magnet rails that crisscrossed the skyline. The rails were loud, fast, and endlessly dangerous, and Ironshade knew it. Before the Alliance could even reach the rail highway, Key 2's trail bent toward the industrial district, a forest of cranes, conveyors, and furnace bays. Ironshade dove into the factories. Conveyor belts were already moving at full speed, carrying crates taller than Pulseblade across platforms that never stopped. Crane arms swung overhead with the lazy menace of giants. Every corner was a mechanical hazard. Ironshade used the chaos to hide. Aegis Prime ran onto the conveyor lanes, his boots fighting the belt's pull. Pulseblade hopped between crates, using moving cargo as stepping stones. Bulwark transformed into his braced form, catching a swinging crane arm before it could smash the team. Hydraulics groaned as he forced it aside. Voltwing dropped through a skylight, switching to robot mode mid-fall, landing on a platform with a sharp hiss of turbines. And Scout Drone Car sent drones ahead, reading air currents, heat lines, and energy trails. The carrier split into two identical vehicles, a perfect hologram decoy. One raced left, one raced right. For a heartbeat, even Voltwing hesitated. But Drone Car pinged the air with a clean sonar chirp, a faint glow trail lit behind the real carrier. Right lane, the drone signaled. Pulseblade shot forward. Aegis Prime followed. Bulwark guarded their flanks. The real carrier tried to vault into the furnace bay. Floor plates trembled from heat. Air shimmered above molten pits. Glacier drift arrived like a breath of cold. He released a cooling mist that stabilized the bay's edges, turning a deadly collapse into a safe path. The carrier slipped on the cooled plates. Pulseblade leapt, snatched the pod, and Key 2 was theirs. 2 keys safe. But Ironshade had never planned to keep the third key in reach. Even as Key 2 was secured, a distant shadow ignited on the horizon. The Dark Spire. Its energy rings began to rotate, slow at first, then faster, faster, faster. Key 3 was already there. The Alliance stormed back onto the magnet rails. The highway curved through the sky like a blade thrown by a giant. Cargo pods swung across tracks on magnetic arms. Rail barriers blinked on and off to redirect traffic. Ironshade's Key 3 carrier was no longer hiding. It was racing for time. Aegis Prime accelerated hard. Bulwark plowed debris out of the lane. Pulseblade gripped the narrow edge rail where even a breath could throw him off. Voltwing streaked overhead, tracking the key pod's glow like a comet. Then Ironshade fired a magnetic shockwave. The rails trembled. Vehicles slid sideways toward the track edge. Aegis Prime transformed instantly, anchoring his feet into the rail with stabilizer spikes. His mass held steady, and in doing so, he created a shielded pocket of calm for the team behind him. "Stay in my wake," he ordered. Pulseblade used the stable lane and jumped a gap to keep pace. Bulwark rammed a barrier that tried to cut them off. Ironshade tossed another decoy pod. A glittering fake key bounced across the rail and exploded into safe smoke. For half a second, the trail vanished, but Drone Car scanned beneath the rails. A true glow surged below the bridge. Voltwing didn't hesitate. He dove under the highway, transforming mid-drop, landing into the narrow underbridge lane. The chase became a blur of pillars and sparks. The carrier swerved into a spiral tunnel entrance, and the world turned dark. Underground, the tunnels of Gearhaven weren't just old. They were alive with ancient systems no one fully understood. Glowing tiles shifted with each step. Echo halls repeated every sound, making distance impossible to judge. Traps triggered without warning. Floors dropped in panels. Walls rotated into new layouts. Ironshade knew the maze. Brightforge did not. The team slowed, not out of fear, but out of calculation. Drone Car lit the path with beacons. A safe pattern of tiles pulsed in sequence. Aegis Prime moved first, heavy and careful. Bulwark followed to brace collapsing arches. Glacier Drift watched their spacing, ready to stabilize. Pulseblade, impatient by nature, ran ahead and nearly vanished as a tile dropped under his feet. Aegis tossed a tether line. Pulseblade caught it, swung, and landed on a safe square. "Pattern first," Aegis said. "Speed second." The carrier climbed a vertical shaft, trying to disappear deeper. Voltwing hovered upward, thrusters glowing softly against the walls. Bulwark pushed rubble aside when Ironshade tried to bury the path. Glacier Drift rescued Drone Car from a pitfall that would have snapped a wheel. Every trap was different. Every solution was teamwork. At last, a bright wedge of sunlight appeared ahead. The tunnel opened. The Alliance burst out into a scrap metal desert. The desert was a world of rust dunes and broken towers, where the wind carried old gears like sand. Ironshade unleashed mirage decoys across the horizon. Fake carriers raced in every direction. Pulseblade darted from dune to dune, searching for the real glow. Voltwing scanned from above, using altitude to cut through the mirage. Bulwark took the high ridge, watching for ambush. Aegis Prime drove straight down the center, daring Ironshade to show itself. Shade Viper struck from the sand in a shimmer of stealth. A sudden hit. a sudden retreat. The key carrier boarded a moving scrap crawler, a lumbering machine that crossed the desert like a mobile fortress. Pulseblade leapt onto it without thinking. He transformed to robot mode mid-air, boots clanging onto the crawler's deck. The crawler tilted, Pulseblade slid, and nearly fell into the dunes below. Glacier Drift stabilized the deck with a support clamp. Bulwark locked the crawler's wheels to slow it. Voltwing blasted the magnetic clamps holding the carrier in place. The carrier bailed into a canyon path. The canyon walls closed tight around them. Ironshade triggered a rock slide trap. Scrap boulders crashed down. Glacier Drift formed a cold brick ramp to bypass the collapse. Pulseblade rode it at full speed. Aegis Prime cast an Energon net. The pod snagged in midair, pulled cleanly into Aegis's grip. Key 3. All 3 keys glowed together with a calm power. For a fleeting moment, the Alliance believed they had won. Then the sky cracked with lightning. The Dark Spire was fully awake. The Spire's energy rings spun so fast they looked like solid halos. Power was being pulled out of the air itself. If the keys didn't return to the altar soon, the Energon Core would overload beyond repair. The team raced across the glowing bridge toward the Spire's upper platform. And there, rising from behind the tower like a mountain waking, stood the Obsidian Titan. A guardian built of ancient black steel, eyes glowing a deep red pulse. Each step shook the platform. Bulwark transformed into full defensive stance and met the Titan head-on. Hydraulics screamed as he absorbed the first stomp. Voltwing tore past the Titan's face with a blinding flare to distract it. Pulseblade surged up the stairs toward the altar, Key 3 secured. But Shade Viper reappeared, again, splitting into stealth decoys to block the way. Drone car projected the true path through the clones. Pulseblade followed without hesitation. Glacier Drift stabilized a collapsing stair edge at the last second, boosting Pulseblade upward. Aegis Prime reached the altar with all 3 keys. Above them, Bulwark was still holding like a wall against the Titan's rage. "Now!" Bulwark roared. Aegis Prime stood over the altar slots, 3 keys in his hands, trembling with power, 3 breaths of time. He inserted Key 1. The first energy ring steadied, wild sparks turning into a stable glow. He inserted Key 2. The second ring slowed. The storm above weakened. He inserted Key 3. A clean surge of healing light shot upward into the sky. The Energon Core, cracked and flickering, began to repair. The Titan froze mid-attack as its power drained away. Its glow faded. It knelt. The rings locked into place. The storm cleared, and Gearhaven's lights returned like sunrise. The city breathed again, from the rail highways to the factories, from the vault district to the desert edge. Power flowed. Life flowed. The Brightforge Alliance regrouped on the Spire platform, battered but unbroken. Voltwing looped through the clearing sky in celebration. Pulseblade raced a victory circle around the team. Bulwark stood tall, quiet, still watching the horizon. Glacier Drift's lights flickered with calm relief. Drone car hovered nearby, scanning for any last threat. Aegis Prime looked out over Gearhaven. "We didn't just save the keys," he said. "We saved the world that depends on them." The Energon Keys pulsed warm and steady in his hands. In a universe of metal, motion, and transformation, the strongest power wasn't speed or strength or stealth. It was unity. Because when a world breaks, it takes more than one hero to rebuild it. And in Gearhaven, that night, teamwork was the greatest transformation of all.